Most people's businesses and their lives, they're trying to create the perfect day or the perfect week. They imagine, let me wake up, have my morning routine, do my stretch, do my sauna, do my cold plunge, brush my teeth, have a hearty breakfast, kiss my kids goodbye, have some quality morning time, day off to school, have my productive work day, I got my workout in, then I pick them up. So I don't do that. I view my life much more in seasons. I'm protective, but I'm trying to have more of the perfect year and the perfect quarter as opposed to the perfect day and the perfect week.
I love it. Hi, this is JP Newman on Investing on Purpose, and today I have Mike Feldstein on the show, the founder of Jaspr, Jaspr. Mike is one of the most special entrepreneurs that I've ever met. I think you're going to learn from him so many unique things of how to look at life. Here's a guy who says his company is likely going to be worth billions and he'll never sell it. And he's going to explain to you why you wouldn't sell your company, which I thought was so interesting. He talks about this idea of seasons. When you should press hard in your sales cycle and when you should ease off the gas and maybe come introspective and look at what you're doing and becoming more strategic. Never having more than 10 employees and why that you can create a huge company, and so many more stories that I think you're going to find not only interesting, but really relevant and thought-provoking for your own business. Mike is one of my new friends and one of the most special people I've met all year. Enjoy the episode. Hi, this is JP Newman on Investing on Purpose, and today I have a very special guest, a new friend of mine, very coincidental and fortunate how we met, but I have Mike Feldstein here, who is the mayor. He's not the CEO, he's the mayor of Jaspr. If you haven't heard of Jaspr, it is the most advanced air cleaning system on the planet, and you're going to know why air is so important. We think water is important, but actually what you breathe and indoor pollution is actually one of the biggest problems, and Mike has done a phenomenal job solving it, and now you're spreading it to the world pretty quickly, which is super cool. Hey, Mike, before we jump into more about you, I am just so grateful how we kind of met indirectly. I got mold in my office. In fact, as we're here, our producer Alex had to change the cameras to not show you all the scaffolding outside here because we're doing our third round of water remediation. But so someone literally just gave me your name at a restaurant because I was complaining to a friend that I've got mold again in my office and my joints were getting inflamed. A couple of my employees were feeling it, and my building is beautiful, but she tends to leak every 7 years. She's my Lamborghini. She just leaks. She likes to leak. And it's funny when you came in here because I'm so used to people selling me $30,000 fancy systems or scaring me. I've had people tell me I need to knock down the building and start over again. I've had every snake oil salesman in the world. And so when they said you were a mold expert and an air quality expert, I was bracing for this $500,000 solution that you were going to tell me. And so I came in because we just found out we had mold. And so my assistant and I came in, I think we were in a mask. We were like, do we wear a mask? Do we not wear a mask? And what's the first thing you said to me? I had a mask on. Do you remember what you said to me?
Well, man, it was earlier this year. It was 2024. At first, I'm like, we haven't met before. I'm like, is he wearing the mask because he thinks I'm going to give him COVID or something? Wait, you're wearing the mask for the mold? Yo, take that thing off.
Yeah.
This is not necessary. So yeah, I was surprised. And I've seen way too many times, as someone whose background was wildfire, hurricane, mold, flood. We're in the fear sales business. So it's not that mold is not scary. The best thing to scare people about is something that's actually scary and then amplify that fear and conveniently sell them a very expensive solution. So it was very clear to me that you were being intoxicated by some poor, overly scary information that exceeded the situation you were actually in.
Yeah, my assistant particularly was pretty fearful. I remember you looked at me in a very hey, dummy. You said to me, hey, I have an idea. Take off your mask and why don't you just open your doors and then fresh air will come in. So even if there's mold, you'll be just fine.
Yeah, there's mold outside, but unfortunately for mold outside, we have the world's best air purifier. It's called nature.
Right.
You have the sun, the wind, the rain, and the trees.
Yeah.
And that is nature's air purifier. And then indoors, we trap all that stuff inside, just like we trap ourselves inside. And it's not an environment to thrive in. So if you could, and it was a beautiful day, I'm like, you got trees here, it's quiet. You are working amongst the forest. So I'm like, why are we sealing out the beautiful nature and living in this little Tupperware box? I'm not that little, but
yeah. And your ultimate solution was really funny. You were so generous. You didn't know me, but we're neighbors. You pulled up in your golf cart and you're like, hey, I've got this thing called Jaspr. It's the best commercial grade air purifier there is. and you didn't even ask. You were so sweet that you literally just set it up. You're
I
just
think
like,
no one was even there when I plugged it in. I like snuck in your office
you
and put it
did.
in.
You like snuck in my office. You plugged it in. You said, JP, you're good. You're fine. Take care of your water stuff. But your air is like, just focus on your air. We're already cleaning your air for you. You're fine.
Yeah, it's like if you have a leak, you don't call the contractor first. You call the plumber to stop the leak.
Right.
So if you're leaking mold into your air, how do you stop the leak? Well, clean the air. Make sure the air you're breathing. How would mold get in your body? You either eat it, you drink it. How does anything get in your body?
Yeah.
It's either you eat it, you drink it, absorption through your skin, or you breathe it. And mold is not eaten, drinking, or absorbed through your skin.
I know that. Just breathed.
Yeah, I mean, you could technically get moldy food,
right?
But that's not what we're talking about here.
Okay,
it's like mold behind your walls, just like allergens. That's a breathing situation.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's just filter your air and open some windows. And the stress of fear is more prevalent. It's going to be more impactful. Like fear and stress is going to proliferate and exasperate all symptoms.
Take your immune system down by the fear and the stress of the fear and the stress.
Yeah.
I once had a mold doctor tell me, Mike, that not only do I need to get rid of my house and sell my office, get rid of my house, but they said every package that comes in the mail, like every Amazon package, I needed to cleanse it. I needed to take all my clothes and run them through special cycles. And I looked at her and I said, I've got 2 young children. Like, I've got an office with employees. Like, I can't do, I know you're saying this is what I need to do.
At that point, you should wear a helmet when you drive your car.
Exactly. What am I going to do?
Like, nobody wears a helmet in the car.
But I felt really crappy. 7 years ago, I was really in a bad shape. When you're feeling bad, I have so much sympathy because I've met and empathy because I've met a lot of people who are really, really sick. So I just know that indoor air quality
What's the difference?
Is super important. What do you mean?
Sympathy and empathy.
Oh, sympathy is like, I almost feel like from the outside, like, hey, I feel bad for you. You have it. I feel like empathy is almost like I actually connect to you. Like, so like sympathy is like from here. And I think external versus internal is probably
okay. That lands for me.
Yeah, I think it's what it is. So, anyways, I just want to say, like, I've been through 2 mold journeys now. I know a lot of people in Austin in general who are really sick from mold and are really still trying to recover from it. And then I meet this exuberant, high energy entrepreneur who comes in, plugs something in for me, doesn't even ask, and just says, you're going to be fine. And I just really, really appreciate you. Like, what an interesting way to start a friendship and a relationship.
Your audience knows like what city you live in. That's not confidential.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we're here in Austin and I'm always at this coffee shop across the street here. And I've lived in this community for 2.5 years. I have 30 people, maybe 40 now. This was like 6 months ago on my personal CRM that I met at that coffee shop.
Wow.
So I'm there hanging out on this porch, this deck all the time, having my coffee, staring at these iron gates, not having a clue what Thrive was, just seeing this massive bronze wall, this like fortress. I'm like, what goes on behind that fortress of a wall? And then at one point I like Googled Thrive and I'm like, oh, what the heck? Like real estate investing, that's there. And then
you're like, damn, I wish it was a spa.
Yeah, better than, I mean, it was cool though. No, I liked it because, my desire is to do a lot of cool real estate stuff around here. So I'm like, all right, that's pretty cool. Some heart-centered real estate money guy in the hood. That's nice.
Yeah.
And then, like 3 weeks after that, I'm at a think tank, which is, so you mentioned you were talking loudly at lunch and someone overheard you, a mold expert who heard you talking about mold. So first of all, good life lesson. If you're struggling with something difficult, don't talk about it in private. Go to, especially in a place like Austin, be out in public speaking loudly about your problems and a little angel may appear.
Literally a little angel may appear.
So yeah, I only met that guy 2 or 3 weeks ago at a think tank event by David Gonzalez, who we both mutually know.
Yeah.
So it was just like, I'm sitting here on the coffee shop looking at these like large gates, wondering what isn't. And just like 4 months later, I'm behind those gates. There's a Jaspr in the room and we're talking about investing with purpose. How did this all happen?
Yeah.
Pretty good stuff, man.
Pretty good stuff. So on this episode, guys, I want to go through your story, Mike. And on this episode, I think what really stands out to me is, besides you having a really unique story of how you've even gotten to this moment, I'm actually really curious to dive in. You said even I'm different now than I was 6 months ago. I'm dying to hear more about that. But you have a vision in a way that's a really unique as an entrepreneur. You really lay things out from a highly creative, highly visionary. And I want to really explore that with you. And also your conviction of things that are important to you, from your family to helping people with their health, is stronger. It's like 10 out of 10. And I really want to explore some of those things, where they come from. So I think from the episode, like obviously the whole episode, Investing on Purpose, and my podcast is about how purpose-driven businesses can create outsized returns.
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing that, but you're doing it in a really unique way. And I just want to dive into that. So I think for those who stick around,
I'm here to be explored.
I love it. Well, thank you.
Let's uncover something that I haven't even thought of yet.
Let's do that. So I think you're gonna hear some unique things, but just to start, obviously, I think the unique journey is you came from Uber driving, you were doing all kinds of things and hustling, and then ultimately you became a remediation expert on mold and water and damage. There was a major, if I remember, there was a major storm in Toronto or Canada, and all of a sudden you were the guy who had to learn how to remediate and take care of 150 homes and souls and all those things. And then next thing, I mean, tell us about that.
So the Uber driving was actually after the disaster stuff.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I did the Uber driving after I made a few $1 million when I was 26.
Oh, that's hysterical.
So it got, Canadian, not that much.
Okay, it's 90%, 90%, right?
75.
Okay.
So the Uber driving came after. I got the domain driveforcause.com and .org, and I was like, I'm sitting at home. I'd got back from the flood and fire. I was working from home basically. And I was like, this is lonely. I was living downtown Toronto at the time. And I'm like, everybody I know works on a computer in their like condo apartment. And this sucks. Like, how do I felt like I was in such a bubble, not just in my apartment, but even in my social thing. Like we'd go to the restaurant to meet, or I'd Uber here and then take an elevator up into someone else's tower. Like I was just like I was not a man of the people. So I was like, I want to be a man of the people. So I got a e-bike, and I would wear this little backpack around, and people would always think I was like a Uber Eats driver, like a delivery guy. So I enjoyed being seen in that perspective. But I got a Yukon Denali, a sick one, and I got it explicitly to drive Uber. And I specifically did not sign up for Uber Black or Uber XL. So I was only the cheapest fare. So people would sign up for like the Uber X expecting like the 6-year-old Honda Civic,
Totally.
and this brand new Denali would come in with like Fiji water. And they'd be like, oh shit, did I push the wrong button? I'm like, yeah, you didn't mean to get like the Uber Black SUV. They'd be like, no. I'm like, just kidding, guys. Like it's just an Uber X. So it already created like a funny container because they were blown away by like the quality of the ride. And I would have amazing conversations with people. So the intention was do drive for cause, however much money I would make on Uber, match it and donate it. So I was going to it never materialized to this, but the vision was to put an iPad in the back of the seats with GoFundMe on it. So at the end of the ride, I would have my credit card there, and the passenger would get to pick their GoFundMe and just make the donation ×2, whatever the fare was. Fortunately, we moved away from downtown. So this only lasted maybe 6 months or so. And I was actually losing $3 an hour driving Uber. So I only donated what I made. There wasn't much to batch because I was losing money. Uber X with the Yukon is in Canadian gas prices was not a winning formula. But it was awesome. I would meet people. They'd be on the phone complaining about their boyfriend, their girlfriend. I remember having this girl complaining about her boss. So she talks my ear off for like 20 minutes. I'm like, he has a point. Like I was able to give her the owner's perspective. I was like an Uber shrink. What are they going to do? Give me a bad review? I've got pretty good reviews.
Yeah.
And I
Did
didn't
you ever tell them about who you were?
Only once or twice.
Okay.
I had like an hour and 20-minute drive with someone out to Mississauga, and I told him about it. I still have the email saved in my like good things folder. A guy wrote me a thing like how he used to do volunteer in orphanages and soup kitchens, and he hasn't done anything charitable in years. And thank you. He forgot about that part of himself. So it was awesome. But just to be clear, the Uber driver actually came after some financial success, and I just wanted to like be integrated and talk to people I didn't usually get to. And it was a very cool perspective just because everyone's unfiltered in the back of the Uber on the phone or like talking to their friend. Do
you find people generally treated you well? Like, do they treat you as their driver? Or
90% of the time I was treated very well. 10% of the time, if I had like an Uber filled with like 5 or 6 people, then, don't talk to him. Like drunk people, he's just a fucking Uber driver.
Gotcha.
And I am just an Uber driver, but.
So let me ask you a question. Already back to like the theme of vision.
Yeah.
So it's very odd if I was 26 or 27, made my first coin. It's still a lot of money, whether it's Canadian or US.
Yeah, it was good.
What drove you to want to say, I want to feel what it's like to be an ordinary Uber driver? I mean, did you grow up in wealth and you just needed to do this experience, or like what was it in you that like?
I'm always curious, man. Like I would like to work at a coffee shop or a bar 1 day a week. I would like to, try housekeeping for a week. I've had many different businesses, from floods, hurricanes, selling backup power generation. In every business I did, I packed 2 Jaspers this morning in my garage. Like, I have a percentage go to my house just so I can pack orders. I need to be involved in the thing that we're doing. So I just wanna, like, to me, winning the lottery would be the ultimate curse. I wouldn't sell Jasper for any amount of hundreds of millions of dollars right now. There's no price because that wasn't the point. I'm not building the company to exit. I'm building it to own it.
Yeah. Which is very unique, by the way.
Like, I don't want to take a helicopter ride to the top of the mountain. I actually want to climb it and experience every summit and every base camp and look around and enjoy the hike. I'm not just the guy who's going to take helicopter to the top of the mountain and say I went to the top of the mountain. To me, the joy is climbing it. So and trying lots of different mountains. So, and in my 20s, I probably went to like 40 or 50 different countries. Canadians travel a lot because there wasn't much to do there. So the combination of a lot of travel, I definitely had the entrepreneurial spirit very young, like my dad was an accountant, but a very entrepreneurial one. So we were,
It sounds like an oxymoron.
I know it
An
is
entrepreneurial accountant.
exactly
Jumbo shrimp, entrepreneurial accountant.
for real.
No, really?
It is that he started
Wow.
a yoga studio when he was 40,
Wow.
attached to his accounting office just so he could do yoga in the middle of the day, and taught a free yoga class, which he would run paid ads for in the newspaper. So he'd have a full yoga class. Um, so like a lot of it definitely came from like entrepreneurship was front and center, but just like, yeah, getting reps of life. I stayed in hostels even when I made a few million dollars. I would call it spectrum traveling. So I would do solo trips a lot and I would travel with my then girlfriend, now wife, but we would stay in a hostel a few nights and then we'd stay in like a 5-star hotel. Otherwise, you're staying in 3-star hotels every night.
Right.
And just to remember, like the best times are camping.
Yeah.
The best times are the cheapest time. Nice stuff is nice too.
Yeah.
But I never want to lose touch of like the nice stuff. So I don't have a good answer of exactly like why I wanted to do Uber.
I mean, you committed. You bought a car and you gave it 6 months. I mean, that like be one thing to say, hey, I'm going to try this for a week in my car just to get experience.
No,
of-
to have the fullest experience, I had to have the nicest Uber and give people the best ride experience. And it actually
You treated it like a business, even though it was a losing business, and you knew it was going to be a losing business.
it was still a business.
Right.
Yeah. It was I was taking it very seriously
Yeah.
for sure.
Do you have more respect for Uber drivers, how hard the job actually is now that you've done it?
No,
Really?
no, I don't. I mean, having conversations with people and sitting in a chair is not that much different than someone who's sitting on a Zoom chair. No,
Yeah.
not really. I mean, it's a grind for sure.
Sometimes when they take me to the airport when it's not a surge period, it's like $20 from my house to the airport. I'm like, this guy's not making money off of me because he's splitting that.
But
with
the
Uber.
flexibility was really cool. You could turn the job on, turn the job off.
Yeah.
It's like every Uber driver is like, "Hey, this is my side hustle." Like they always want to tell you how they don't like this is their side gig. But no, I don't.
So, Mike, let me ask you a question. Most people, and I've interviewed a lot of people. You're episode 64, by the way. So
Nice.
this is my 64th one. And most people's story, like the story kind of goes, they had to learn through life in their 20s and their 30s. They were still kind of in this hyper, like 120 hours a week working. It took like either a health problem or it took some realization before maybe if they have woken up to, I need to slow down and enjoy as you were calling it, the mountains along the way. And here you are, young. You're already making money now. Once again, you're really growing right now. A beautiful company that seems to have nice sales and continues to grow, and yet you seem really wise. Like when we talk about 4-dimensional wealth on my show, wealth beyond just money, I meet very few people your age that already kind of are living and getting that lifestyle. So what is it about you? Like from your first couple million, let's just say you build it to whatever. It sounds like it's irrelevant. Like you're just wise beyond your years. Like, how did you get there so quickly? Like, what was it about your values that got you to say, like, I like the money. I could keep, because if you wanted to, it was all about the money. I'm sure with your brain, just knowing you as long as I've known you, if it was just, if winning was just making money, even though you're making great money now, I bet you could 20x if that was your only intention, right? Like,
I don't know. I actually think that no matter how I can't do things that I don't want to do and don't love. Some people are much better than me at that. They can put themselves through a period of pain
yeah,
for a potential carrot at the end of the road or for some future progress. I can't. I literally don't even know how to turn that on for 1 minute. So I actually couldn't. If it was all about something that wasn't something I loved, I can't do it. I literally could not get. I
So
would be.
cool.
I would be exhausted.
it's very
I would
unique,
have
by the
no
way.
energy. So Jasper could likely be a 30-50 billion dollar company. Eventually we'll be an HVAC. There's no small HVAC companies, but we're taking a very long patient approach. But that money is only going to happen. Like I love when, whether it was the Phil Knight shoe dog or Warren Buffett or Felix Dennis. He's like, he was almost a billionaire because through that process, thousands of millionaires were created.
Yeah.
There's no billionaire if thousands of millionaires weren't also created. So the success later would only be like I don't go to the gym today to get to a certain like physique, but the goals will all come later. The goal should be to go to bed at night feeling happy about the day I had today.
Yeah.
And if you do that for decades, then that shit should compound really nicely. So I would say I'm very fortunate that I had a lot of bloody noses in business. Like I've been in business pretty much since I was 13.
Wow.
I made about 35K when I was 15 selling Lacoste shirts that I imported from China that I would sell to like the 12th graders that then would sell them to the cool kids' parents.
That's amazing.
So I was importing glass bongs from India when I was 16, and then I was giving to the head shops on consignment, but I lost money on that one. Like I lost money. My 12 grand from bar mitzvah money, I rallied it up to 80 and then back down to 5. So like, my dad didn't. He's like, don't invest this money. He's like, either spend it like an idiot and lose it, and then be sad that you missed it, or go do whatever you want with it. But they didn't like invest it for me. There was never forced investing.
Super interesting.
And then I dropped thank God, but my dad encouraged me to drop out of school after my first year.
Of college.
Yeah, I was at a university in business school, and I had more business experience than the business teacher, like by far. And he had a nightmare in the summer after my first year of me wearing like a red and black suit as like a manager in a hotel. It was BCom with like a specialty in hospitality and tourism. He's like, I just have to share this nightmare with you. And he's like, by the way, this was a horrific nightmare for me. And he's like, don't go to school for your parents. Just to be clear, he's an accountant. My sisters are lawyers and doctors and all the normal Jew stuff. Professionals, highly academic, entrepreneurial, like within those realms as much as they could be. But he was like, don't go for us. And if you're not actually learning, he's like, that's the point of school. It's not for the stupid piece of paper you're going to get in 4 years. So go to school for yourself if you think you're learning. But if you're just screwing around and having a blast, you don't have to be in class doing that. You could be running businesses. He goes, I'm going to drop at least 30,000 on your school, not to mention way more for everything else. He goes, how about I just give you the 30 grand now and you can make it or lose it. We'll call it a loan, but a non-recourse loan. If you don't pay it back, it's fine. And he's like, you'll learn more money losing that money playing business by far than you will in school. So don't go to school for us. And
Wow.
I dropped out of school.
By the way, I'd love to say that to my kid as I'm paying the bills for school right now, because I just have such a disbelief that colleges are really set up to help today's entrepreneurs succeed. But I know everyone says, oh no, it's just a warm up. It's 4 cushy years. You leave the home and you learn how to live. And that's all true. But my conviction that colleges really meant wonderful entrepreneurs with all the skill sets you need to survive is a very low
And my mom
conviction.
didn't agree with the position.
Oh,
She made
wow.
that clear,
Wow.
and her position was respected. But she also respected it's my decision. So she never imposed her will or judgment on my decision.
Wow.
She's like, I personally think school is still useful. The experience, blah, blah, was good for me. But you do what you want to do. So even like when I was a horrible student young as a kid, it was always like, teachers calls, Mike didn't do this, he skipped school, he didn't do the test. It was like, look, Michael's a smart boy. If you can't motivate him to do your work, that's a you problem. That must mean your classes are probably a little boring for him. So like, maybe you should teach a more interesting class. If he doesn't get motivated in life, this is his life. We don't have a motivation wand for him, and we're not going to pretend to try. Punishing is not effective. I found out later they decided like there's no point in like really punishing me because it was just I wasn't hurting other people.
Right.
So they're like, look, he's a smart kid. If he's ever going to get motivated, that'll be a him thing. I'm sure when he realizes his life's ahead of me, he will. So I saw other people in the same position be called dumb and lazy. I didn't have that. It was like, even though I was getting 50 degrees, 50%, I did just enough to pass in school, but they didn't give me any money they just gave me a number. I very quickly realized a 90 and a 50, you still get to the next grade, and they don't put your grades. There's not like 6th grade, 92. There's no life resume with the number. So I'm like, this is a waste of energy.
It's amazing that you had that realization so young. I wish I would have realized that. Because it seems like the fake narrative is to scare the shit out of you. Like, you have this job and you better take it serious and you better get A's because we got to prepare for college. So you got to go to college so you can go to grad school so that one day you can get a job. And you indoctrinate that in a 4-year-old from preschool to 25 or 30 or 35, depending if they want to be a professional.
And then, of course, I saw my dad, he would come home. I didn't even realize it till I was like 27 and started doing some personal development work. But he would basically come home and be like, he could never listen to any of us. Dinner table, nothing. Like nothing. If you talked, he only heard himself talking. Like if there was a shirt that said self-proclaimed narcissist, he would be proud to wear it.
This is your father?
Yeah.
Wow.
The same guy that would have like that wide, very supportive dad, you know?
Interesting. Yoga accountant who also had that narcissist. That's a really interesting combo.
The guy who would take me to taekwondo classes and sporting events, but at the same time, the only place he could listen was in the sauna. So I knew if I ever had anything important to say, get him in the sauna.
Wow.
But anywhere else, nothing. So
Because he was distracted? Like,
yeah.
was he autistic, do you think, or just distracted?
I don't know. I think his ego, the roommate
Oh.
would turn off his hearing
Oh.
as a way to keep him all to himself.
Mm.
It's a mouthful there, but really, he would get tinnitus anytime like love was entering his awareness. His hearing would like turn down. So
Wow.
his tinnitus is so bad but he went to go visit Auschwitz a couple years ago. As soon as he walked in the gates of Auschwitz, his ears kind of popped and he had HD perfect hearing. And as soon as he walked out of the gates, he was back to deaf. So there's a lot going on there.
Wow.
It's not just the ears are blocked. So
Whew.
yeah, man.
Wow.
Yeah. So I saw, he would basically say, look, this was, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, he was charging $3.50 an hour Canadian. I still got to do that for all my Canadian people out there. It's CAD. So he would come home and be like, look, I listen to people 9-10 hours a day at work who paid me a lot of money to listen deeply to what they say. So I got no more listening bandwidth. And
Interesting.
I didn't realize it totally, but I'm like, I did still. I'm like, oh, that sucks. Like you wasted all your listening bandwidth for money at work that you can't listen to your family at dinner.
Wow.
That's shitty. All my uncles, aunts, everybody was in the time for money business. And I'm like, I don't want to do time for money business.
Mm.
And if I'm going to trade time for money, better be at a disproportionate value so I can then buy back my time, get years of time back later. So that was a very big driving force for me
Wow.
to not want to be that. I didn't view them as entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurial accountant. You're still an accountant. So I right off the bat wanted to do stuff that was fun, and I saw the way he felt about clients and team back then. It wasn't like not mixing business and personal. Visiting business was just a center for profit. So it was like extreme entrepreneurship, but also clearly a way that I did not want to do things. I'm like, I really wanted to listen to my family and have time for kids and then, yeah, making some money and then bloody noses, right? Like I lost money doing some stuff and investing in this or trying this business. So I was always starting stuff.
Yeah.
And then the disaster business came along. That was super lucrative. So because I kind of had time, I've traveled to dozens of countries. I had some capital after some of those disasters. So I spent age 27 to 30 just traveling with no phone and making better friends, leveling up my network. Because I'm like, I am the smartest fish. If you're in the smartest room, you're in the wrong room. Like I'm in the wrong rooms. I don't believe this is the world. I'm in a bad room right now. Let's go explore the world. I'm like, thank God.
And you found
Let me go get
some people.
Let me go find some imposter syndrome, and then I like the loop of go find a place where you have imposter syndrome, and then get over it.
Yeah.
And then find it. No, now we got to level it up. So I enjoy finding people who have done. To me, everyone has a different definition of confidence. To me, it's gaining the respect of those that I respect.
Mhm.
If I'm being valued by someone I value, that's incredibly confident building. So that's kind of, these are some of the formative things.
It's really amazing. Also, I know how protective you are now. It kind of makes sense. Like I know with your family, your two beautiful girls, and like your family means everything to you. And I see how you were just telling me before we started the podcast, you went 3 years without a phone. You're even already gearing up to having no phone again. So you really have taken this idea of time back to this is relationship and wealth, which are two tenets in the 4-dimensional wealth. And like you might do it maybe more intensely than anyone, but now it makes a little more sense to me. You're like, I'm watching my kids grow up. I'm going to experience. I'm not going to miss a moment with my wife and my kids growing up, and I can still have a very successful company. Like you manage it incredibly well, but you've also have a real discipline of kind of like what you're willing to put up with, like what you're willing to do for Jaspr, and then kind of like your boundaries of what you're not willing to do. No matter what, it doesn't matter how big the company grows. Like these are just like boundaries that you will not cross when it comes to certain parts of your time or your family or priorities?
Yeah, I'm not a big F1 guy, but I am a big sports fan. So I was gearing up Jasper to be run like a sports team until I recently learned about the F1 schedule, and this is awesome. So most people's businesses that in their lives, they're trying to create the perfect day or the perfect week. They imagine, let me wake up, have my morning routine, do my stretch, do my sauna, do my cold plunge, brush my teeth, have a hearty breakfast, kiss my kids goodbye, have some quality morning time, day off to school, have my productive work day. I got my workout in. Then I pick them up. We have a lovely family dinner. We go for a stroll in the neighborhood, have some one-on-one time with my wife, and watch the sunset. It's a nice, and then somehow the friends came over too. So they're trying to create, and I've been there, this helped, trying to create this idea of a perfect day. And they're trying to live that day, Monday to Friday, and then weekends are family time. It's these weird kind of constraints that you create for yourself. So I don't do that. I view my life much more in seasons. So right now, for example, this is Black Friday season. So November and December, so F1 schedule. I love this. So and I'm shifting it by a couple weeks, but broadly, November and December is the playoffs. This is the playoffs.
Big majority of your sales happen in the next 60 days.
For a lot of brands, that's true. A little less for us because there's seasonal allergies and wildfire season, but yeah, it's a
Okay.
big deal.
It's a big deal.
And I'm in the awareness education business. So it's like, let's teach people, give all year. And at the end of the year, give a discount. It's like anyone who's been thinking about, they've been learning about air all year long. Well, now's the time to buy. So then we give a really generous discount. And then let's go back to awareness. So our partners love it because I'm like, you don't have to dance around on Instagram giving discount codes and yelling cringy ads. Buy this, use code Joe. No. Let's do no codes, no offers all year long. Help people, give them advice, tell them about stuff that has nothing to do with air purifiers. But at the end of the year is buying season. So the way I look at this is, so with F1, November, December is like the playoffs. January, February is the off season. And then they take off August in the middle of the season for a break to rest and recharge and recover. So as a business, like let's say if you have it's kind of like an F1 sports team hybrid. If your coach is not performing great or a player is not performing great halfway through the season, you're likely not going to fire them. Like you need that defensive stopper. Even if it's not a perfect fit, it destroys your chemistry too much to retool your roster mid-season or
Makes
before the
sense.
playoffs.
Makes sense.
So the off season is when you upgrade your stadium, when you hire a new general manager, you bring in a new coach, you make trades, you hire a free agent. You're not playing, you're going on some vacation. You're reflecting on the last season. You're thinking about the next few years. Then there's the regular season. So we need enough games in the regular season to qualify for the playoffs. We're playing games now. So the way I'm kind of designing my life is consistent with the way I'm designing Jasper. And this is not just for me, this is for everybody. So in the company. So January and February we're not looking at sales. We're not even really looking at profit and metrics and growth. This is like a 2-month annual review, taking a deep dive to pause. So we rented a large place in Mexico for all of my family and all of my team and anyone who wants to come for a month.
I want to come.
You can come.
Great.
Jan 5 to Feb 5. We got it locked down.
Wow. Where do you go?
It's a place in Puerto Vallarta.
Nice.
The Airbnb glitched. So we got it for $22K. It got as high as $330K a month.
Wow.
It's about 90,000 now. It's 6 villas and a resort with 2 restaurants. So we have the whole resort with a beach and a boat. Got it for 22 grand for the month.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'll send you the link after. It's insane.
Insane.
Send it to you.
I'm in.
Yeah,
I'll meet you there in February.
Please come. I might even do like a little mastermindy event community thing there.
Oh, how fun.
The first week of February.
Amazing.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I'm the way I'm designing my life is like January. So I'm telling Rachel now, it's like right now at dinner, I might eat quickly. And I think the sacred family dinner thing, honestly, I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. It's not that sacred. It's very rushed actually. After school, then dinner. So like we started cooking a lot of our dinners outside. We'll go to the lake park with our grill. If we cook outside, it makes the whole thing chill. There's no cooking, there's no cleaning, they're playing. It's less of this forced like sit in chair, eat for half an hour, and then don't get up. Why can't you just stand up during dinner? They're kids. I don't even want to sit at a table for half an hour.
Right. Why
do we have to do it like this? Can't we just hang out in the backyard and swim? And there's the food if you want it. Get it when you feel like. But basically, so January, February is rest and recovery. It's slow season.
Great.
August is also a pause season. And then November, December, let's sprint. So now if I want to work on the weekends and go 17 hours a day and get into the playoff mode and it's all business, I'm traveling like 7 times in the next 2 months. but I have to constantly, like, we have to keep that front of center. Otherwise, it can feel like you're absent really quickly. So we have to keep that at the forefront. But I do my
Keep what at
year,
the forefront?
the fact that this is the playoffs right now.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I'm traveling a ton for the next 2 months. But then for 2 months, I'm here. And like we'll take our kids out of school every other Wednesday to just have like a one-on-one day with our kids. So we're doing a lot of stuff. So even I'm protective, but I'm trying to have more of the perfect year and the perfect quarter as opposed to the perfect day and the perfect week. So I'll go weeks. If a friend visits me for a week, I'm doing no work that week. Let's just hang. They didn't visit me to work, but I'll go hard the week before. So I'm trying to like, I'd rather have days where I do nothing and then days where I go super hardcore, like I'm a business guy, than try to like be this perfect 24-hour repetitive version of me. So I really shift my life into seasons, like my decades too. So my 20s, 20 to 23, I'm born 1990, so my decade lines up with the decades. 20 to 23 was like figure shit out. The rubber, like you don't make a lot of money, but you try and you fail and you're exploring. 23 to 27s where all the rubber met the road and made a bunch of money. 27 to 30, I just traveled and leveled up my network. So I'm 34 now. So the plan was 30 to 33. Let's fiddle around, launch Jaspr, figure things out, beta test, try markets, try pricing, get really good at service, support, logistics. 33 to 37, scale the business intensely, doing that now. And then 37 to 40, I wanted to be able to go world schooling and just have myself in a position where at age 37, so 3 years from now, I won't need a phone, I won't need a computer, no more than a monthly review like an investor looking at a scorecard, and I can travel as much as I want with my family, have a very strong recurring income stream. So, and then at age 40, let's do it again. And then from 47 to 50, me and Rachel will have teen kids, and then 57 to 60 will be just the two of us. So I kind of have this decade cycle
I
of
love it.
learn and experiment, gain traction, and then rest, recover, travel, and so I have like a decade cycle.
As you know, in Judaism, there's the Sabbath or sabbatical, which is interesting. In the Bible, it's every 7 years. In fact, I don't know if you know this, like even a
I
farmer,
don't.
every 7 years, a farmer, after he plants for 7 years, needs to give the land a 2-year rest. Like you are instructed to go on a 2-year hiatus. But here's the instructions. At the end of the 7th year, you have to give away your last thing when you need it most. Like your last, let's say you're plowing or your last bit of corn or whatever it is that you're farming, you have to give that away to charity. And because they want you to get out of scarcity mode. Like the whole point is you're going into this with abundance. You planned. So even like that's a mode of like you're showing. And then for those 2 years, you literally just let the ground rest, and you need to rest. And then you plant again and just, it's when professors go on sabbatical. So this idea that you're talking about is actually very biblical. A lot of Judaism and a lot of religion is actually Judeo-Christian is based on seasons. So it's cool that you're doing it in tens, and just know that's a very wise thing that's been around for thousands of years, and you just instinctually kind of know to do it.
That's my favorite thing, man. When I'm just doing something that just feels right, where life got me to a certain place through all the community and experiences I've had. And then you find out, like, I mean, you could draw connections to stuff, but it feels very good when that happens. It feels very validating that I'm drawing some good conclusions through life. So yeah, when I was telling you though about the 6 months, why 6 months ago I would have been a way worse guest than today.
That should be the name of this podcast.
What?
Why you would have been a much worse guest 6 months ago than today.
Sure. I would have been, man. I would have been. So if you came to my house 1 year ago, you would see our mattress. The only thing in my bedroom was a mattress. We had no nightstands. We had no art. We had no nothing. Just a mattress on the floor. We had no dining table. Our dining table was a $20 Home Depot or Walmart fold-out table. We had zero art in the house. We had no throw pillows, cushions, blanket. My daughter's room was just a mattress on the floor. No nightstands, no kids' books, a few toys. It looked like a prison room. And I have a pretty nice house. Because when we moved to Texas, we were all in. We put ourselves in a house poor situation. And I said, look, Rach, like we theoretically could make this whole house beautiful, do the art, do all that stuff. But I'm like, right now, we're spending more than we're making right now. Like we're in a cycle right now. I was taking no money out of Jaspr. I couldn't. And especially a year ago, we had, no golf cart. I actually said, I set goals to unlock things. So I set a Black Friday goal last year. I said, if I hit this goal, I'm buying myself a sick golf cart.
I love doing that, by the way. I think it's so great to do that. Having goals. Like when I close a real estate transaction, I try to put a goal. Otherwise, it just becomes, oh, I made this number and it went in the bank account. I love putting a visual, like something really juicy or fun or emotional, It makes it so much more juicy. That's fun.
The sauna,
Yeah.
I just got 2 e-foils.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Dude, it's the best.
Well, I got a boat, so I can meet you at the park and we can just keep playing.
Yo, we can.
Yo,
Let's do this.
let's do this.
And then
I got a ski boat.
I want to e-foil to ski shores, get some lunch, and then be boated back.
I'll do it.
That would be like a dream.
I'll do it. If you'll teach me to be, I e-foiled for the first time 4 weeks ago, and I've got a nice scar.
E-foil or foil?
No, I think I just foil.
The one behind the boat?
No, I e-foiled.
The one with like a battery and a remote?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have a scar, beautiful scar on my foot right now.
That is a beautiful scar.
I got the little bottom wing, just gave me a nice little scalping. So maybe you can help me get better. I surf great. I'll get you.
Oh, okay.
I'll get you surfing behind the boat. Like,
what kind of boat you got?
It's a Centurion.
Okay.
So no, we're talking a real deal.
Let's get after it.
Let's get after it, man. Sorry, we digress. So go back to what you were saying. That's cool.
Yeah. So
your point is that you're saying is that as you were getting financial wins, you started putting cool things.
Dude, I was doing a quarterly net worth review for the last 6 years.
Yeah.
Well, there was a time when crypto was going up and real estate and stocks. So I'm doing this quarterly review. I'm like, and I'm pretty conservative to mark my things down, but I'm like, oh, we're going up. We're going up. I didn't realize I had no income. This was only happening when assets were inflating like crazy. And then all of a sudden that stopped happening. I'm like, oh, we're hemorrhaging cash. And I need my environment to be a, I think I can only be as productive as my environment is peaceful. Like I need to be aligned with my space. I need to find a sense of calm. I really need a place in the evening but you know what? I also have to earn that. That's not an excuse. You have to find your peace with whatever you got. Because if you can calm down and breathe, you can figure out a lot of stuff. If you can't get yourself to a calm state, you're going to be on a bad treadmill.
I totally agree.
So I told Rachel though, because dude, Rachel doesn't know the difference between $1 million and $900 million. And it seems crazy, right? That seems hard to comprehend.
No, I get it.
But here's the perfect way to explain it to someone. Can you visualize 10 inches on that table?
Yes.
Like in your mind, can you visualize what a mile feels like?
Yes.
Can you visualize 7.6 million inches?
No.
No idea.
No idea.
No idea. That's $1 to her.
Right.
So if you layer up millions of the dollars, there's no compute there.
Right.
Dude, Rachel barely has Gmail, Google Calendar, friggin'. She's very, very present. So she's very much not living in that world. She grew up only child, middle class, but they had everything. School was paid for it in summer camp and all that. And then I kind of came along and took over the reins. And so she was a nurse and made good money for a 20-year-old, but she never really had to like make money to buy stuff. The credit card always worked.
Yeah.
She's like, all I know about money is when I go to get the groceries, it works. This is awesome. That's all I know. So she doesn't understand a $2 million house versus $6 million. Like, why can't we have it? But she's also cool to be camping and living in the woods. And she, she doesn't need much stuff. So she just like, look, I trust you to make all those money decisions. I don't really want to. I'm happy to make like a lot of the decisions within my wheelhouse, but all that like money, where we live kind of decisions, like I'd prefer to just really support you in that. Thank you for making that clear. Because I was trying to be all egalitarian and like get her opinion on everything. She's like, some stuff is your department to make the decisions. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But
I have the same relationship with my wife.
It's clear when everybody's on the same page.
Clear.
Thank
Super
you.
clear.
She's like, I had a
She
Corvette.
has her domain. I have my domain. We both trust each other. We're both excellent at our
It's the
respective
best.
domains.
I bought a Corvette after that Fort McMurray time. I'm like, I'm going to spend a bunch of money on travel and get some peace and travel the world. And I bought a Corvette. And I sold it after the first summer. You just couldn't find one to rent. But she never drove it once. She's like, I'm short. I'm 5 feet tall. I can't even see the road. It's too fast. I don't like this thing, but I love being a passenger in it. And she's just like, that's how I feel about our whole life. She's like, I want to ride in the Corvette, but I really don't want to drive it.
Get it.
So
Totally get it.
So
It's a good relationship. That's actually a really good, if two people want to be on front of stage at all times and have the mic, it creates a pretty hard relationship. So
tough, man. And when I realized it was really empowering for me when I realized she doesn't know what money stress means. No matter how much money I have or don't have, there'll always be money stress. She doesn't even compute what that means.
I agree.
And it's awesome. Because I'll be honest, if my kids are crying at 2 a.m, I have no stress about it. It means they're breathing.
Right.
Kids cry. And if 2 kids are crying, tap me on the shoulder. I'll handle one of them. No doubt. I'm plan B though. But she's like, yo, you make it so I don't have to have money stress. I don't want to trade spots with you. I'm like, me neither. So, for some people, and
Yeah.
she's like, I'm not trying to be lady boss right now. And now she's actually, her entrepreneurial spirits are actually turning on now. And that's changing some things. So we're reconfiguring our relationship and how we're prioritizing things and bringing more help in. But I created my environment because I'm like, it bothered me not having a dining table, and it bothered her too. Not painting, not have art. I'm like, all of our money is in the walls of the home. We have no budget. We overextended on the house. So we don't have crazy art and furniture budget. I go, if we say yes to the art, then we say yes to the sauna and the paint. And next thing you know, this thing gets really out of control. I go, if Jasper's going to be the company we know it will be, the path we're on, we're not going to be really worried about things like art. And in our late 20s, we had a lot of abundance after the disasters. We had no kids yet. We had our rich year where we did fancy hotels and we traveled. And when it was nice, but it was nice doing business class stuff for a year or two. But then we had a 2 or 3 year window. Back of the plane, yo. Back of the plane. Downsized cars to reasonable vehicles. Got rid of all the nice stuff. We were really conscious about groceries, about Uber Eatsing. And I'm like, this actually feels like we really needed this at this stage of life with a kid, where we couldn't just go on the trip. All the money was in the house. It would have to be a lot of debt, and like we weren't going to do that. So I made a rule about no debt. As long as I couldn't get, I'm like, we're never gonna. So this is what gave me a lot of confidence. Me and Rachel decided we'd rather be living a first class life in a third world country than a third class life in a first world country. So we're like, if we get into debt, this thing could get slippery. If we never get into debt, worst case, we could always rent this house out furnished for 7 or 8 or 9K a month and go live very nicely in a second or third world country. So, and in Texas, they have very good protective house laws. So I'm like, as long as we don't fuck with this house, we're going to be fine comfortably. You just might not be here. So we've traveled a lot. So we know we can be comfortable in Costa Rica or Thailand or wherever. So once we realize, I'm like, worst case, we'll just be rich in Mexico. Not that bad. Who cares? It's just house money at this point. So a lot of those things. And then, yeah, I always create, when we hit this milestone, we got the dining table. This milestone, we got the nightstands. And then that really, whenever I get a cha-ching Shopify sales, I stopped doing it because it was too many chocolate chips. But if my little girls would run up to me and say cha-ching because they'd hear a Shopify sale, I'd give them a chocolate chip. Just to be like, yo, you're missing. Like, they didn't know what it meant by a sale.
That's
so like
great.
somebody in the world,
That's fun.
what does it cha-ching mean? I'm like, that Jaspr Air purifier there, somebody in the world who's having issue breathing or they want to improve their health, they went on their phone or their computer, they pushed some buttons, they got some money, and now we're going to send them a Jaspr. They're going to give us some money so we can get you that chocolate chip, get this house, get that art, hire more people like Justin, like Sarah, like the people on our team. So I really make sure to connect the feeling of the wins.
So brilliant.
So I don't know. It's just
so brilliant.
leading through intuition, man. It feels like it's going good though.
Good intuition. That feeling. I've been talking more about that, even in my own world right now. I realized for a long time I was on such a good real estate roller coaster ride of just, I was lucky enough. I've been able to participate in commercial real estate and real estate in Austin for years. So I caught like a 14-year wave, but it almost becomes numb. You're like, it becomes a credit in a bank account. And I found that like, as much as I tried, I would do staff dinners or we would, do trips or family things. I always try to mark things with a feeling like your chocolate chip. But I found I started getting numb, and because quite frankly, there was a lot of them. It was just becoming normal. And like your wife, I would tell my wife, hey, I came home and we made X amount of dollars today. There's X, and she couldn't care less. Like, didn't really register. Yeah, that's good, honey. I made steak for dinner tonight. Like, it was like that. It was about there's nothing to it, which is good. I married a nice girl from the Midwest, so I just think that's just her values are.
Yeah, there's a lot of beauty in that. I used to think I wanted this hard charging entrepreneurial wife.
Yeah.
That I could compete with. I'm like, no, thank you.
No, thank you. I've been there, done that. No, thank you. I do think we do support Amazon. I'm pretty sure I should be a shareholder in Amazon because the packages that come in our house are pretty insane. I think we're pretty good consumers for a non-materialistic living. There's a lot of consumption going on, but no, I just really appreciate that value. And I think I'm learning right now as the season of real estate has gotten harder.
Yeah,
that this is a moment that I can be more grateful for energy coming in and coming out because I became a pretty good generous philanthropist. I've gotten really better and better at giving, and all of a sudden my receiving is a little tighter. So it's like, how much do I want to give? And my Rabbi Mendy, who you met today, Rabbi Mendy says there's a reason for the expression, give till it hurts. If it doesn't hurt, you didn't give enough, he says. And I thought that was always an interesting thing to think about, because the point is, give till it hurts means then you've given the right amount, because it should be uncomfortable. It should feel like that. But what I found on the other side of that is the emotion of letting go, trusting. It's like trusting, enjoy the receiving through an emotion, through a chocolate chip, through some, like, really like indulge on a win, whether it's a $5,000 win or a $1 million win, indulge. Like, I got a check yesterday I wasn't expecting. It wasn't, in my standard, it wasn't a huge amount of number, but I really took a moment to be grateful that some money came in yesterday that I was not expecting, and it felt really, really good. And I'm just taking more and more time to presence that, and I'm writing checks right now that I don't feel like writing this year, and I'm writing them anyways, because I think that's part of my work. If I'm really going to talk about, investing on purpose and being a money mystic that demystifies money, well, then that's like my spiritual work right now.
Yes.
By one other random thing, in Judeo-Christian values, they say there's only one time that you can ask God to prove himself, that he exists. And the one time is when you give money away. God says you can never ask me to prove it. But he says, if you give money away till it hurts, you will get back the reward in some way you watch tenfold. And that's my proof that God exists. And I think that's a really interesting, that's a really interesting thing, that's the one time you get to ask God.
It's funny
to
that we're
prove it.
talking about this, because the theme I'm seeing here, which honestly I didn't realize it was a play. I think that's the whole point. But do you know a guy named Joe Polish?
Of course.
Genius Network?
Yeah.
So I met him a week or two ago in Arizona. We really hit it off. I met his wife first, Cherie, and we hit it off too. And she's like, I want you to meet my husband. And he came by. And then we've been talking. They've been at the booth. He's like, if there's any extra Jaspers here, I'll buy them. And then the sauna company was stuck with their demo sauna unit. He's like, I'll get that too. And then he's just been making connections. And then he sent me this one clip. It was Chris Voss on Huberman's podcast.
Mhm.
And he's talking about how Joe, he's like, before I ever gave him $1 and joined his community, he gave me so much that he's like a blank check yes from me. And I didn't even realize that. I'm like, and he talked about, Chris Voss was talking about, has a strategy of growth, is giving is actually an incredible growth strategy. And you actually can, I was listening to a pod last night, I can't remember what, but it was like, I didn't realize younger how much I could have given when I had nothing.
Yeah.
Oops, I didn't realize it at all, but I'm glad I kind of woke up to that a little bit. And
it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for me. Like, I notice, like, it's easy to contract because we live in scarcity. And do I have enough? Is this enough? Now I have this. Is this enough? So it's, your brain can get easily. It really, I think, takes a spiritual practice to not get wired that way.
so here's why I really don't think I would sell Jaspr. You can always talk a big game until the check's in front of you, but I really believe I would not sell Jaspr for $1 billion right now, because let's say I had the $1 billion, then what? You're supposed to go invest it in what companies? You're not going to hold it in cash.
Right.
You're going to invest in businesses. I already have the business I want. And here's why. I have a vehicle where I can give and it doesn't hurt. And it's so clear. I don't need a count, and it's not about that. But for example, I give Jaspers away all the time. I donated one to my kid's school. They got 5 more. I actually gave them the 5, but they subscribed to the filter subscription on all. Then 2 parents got them, and then they recommended it to friends, and now that friend's recommending it to everyone.
It's amazing.
In Kelowna, I was there during wildfire season. I had 50 Jaspers. I gave them all away. At least 30 people bought a second one. I don't even know of the downstream how many more people bought them. Most, maybe, like, it was a wildfire season. I'm like, yo, I have 50 Jaspers in my shed, in a storage locker, and my air quality in my home's pristine. So I gave one to my nanny. I'm like, and her mom bought one and her grandma bought one. So the coolest thing ever. And like, let's say I sold Jaspr. Okay. Jewish guy has $1 billion now. Great. I want to do something kind. And let's say I love trees, and I love kids, and I love money. I really love all 3 of those things a lot. In that order. I like trees and kids very, very closely. I really am. I'm a big nature guy. And maybe kids and trees. I don't know. At least my kids, then trees, then all the kids. But yeah, I heard you talking about the why that makes you cry once, and it's just very visible because you can see trees getting cut down everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's much more like of a visceral thing. So let's say you're a rich Jewish guy, loves trees, wants to put parks in the neighborhood. He likes seeing kids play outside. So if I wanted to build parks in the neighborhood, what do I do? Put my name on it, the Feldstein Park. That's like a really ego-driven, kind of yucky, weird thing.
Yeah.
But what if Jaspr is buying 3 parks because trees are amazing for air quality and shade is amazing for the soil? it's like Jasper gives me this thing
This
and
vehicle,
this vehicle
of what really is meaningful to you.
and $500,000 or $1 million in the community in a park. That's going to get attention. That's going to be talked about. That will pay for itself multiple times over, at least a lot of the time. So I'm in this really unique position where it's very clear. I didn't realize it till I heard this thing talked about with Joe Polish, that the giving was actually, you make the most money. Just you might not notice it day one, and I actually think it's bad karma to track it. But I do, whenever I find like a big thing, I go back to my big butterfly moments of like this friend from like I went to summer camp 14 years ago, 22 years ago, and I met a kid at camp. That's why I'm in Austin, because my friend Zach Obront. So it was like, and how did I go to camp? My uncle went there 30 years before me. Maybe his dad, my grandfather, met a guy. I like to go all the way back with the big butterflies and honor those moments that happened, but don't really look at them too much looking forward. But I love when I find out like 5 years later that this one conversation led to this, to this, to this.
You came over with a golf cart to help me for 15 minutes, I think, and you plugged in a Jaspr, and that, I'm like, not many people do that. So even that one moment, back to your giving thing, was I paid attention because people don't do that usually in the world. Everything's transactional. And I'm like, he came here and he actually cares. And he didn't ask, he just did it, like anonymous. And you disappeared. You didn't even stay around and say, hey, JP, I put like, you didn't even do that. You just left. And next thing I looked, there's like,
My work was done.
Your work was done. But it left an impression. Now here's the funny thing. Think about this. Then you came to me with this real estate project in the neighborhood. And I mean, it wasn't just because, it wasn't like, but like there was already this genuine feeling of like, this guy cares. Like, I'm willing to put, because, as you know, both of our time is really valuable for the same reasons. And it's like, I'm willing to invest some time. Your values were already spoken to me there. And like, it was enough for me to invest some time into you and say, wait a second, like, why don't we just do the same thing? And like, it's like generosity begets more generosity.
Yeah. And I feel like it's like, I call it abundance bartering. So for example, bartering implies it's usually comes from like a scarcer place. It's like, we're being taxed heavy. Like, I'll give you 3 of these for 2 of those. I got this. But it's like, actually, there's an abundance version of that where it's like, I can help somebody. We have a mutual friend, Kyle, and to him, making videos is pretty effortless. He can go from an idea to telling a powerful story on camera, edited, videoed, filmed, produced, the whole thing with under a week of his time while doing other things, under $1,000. Other people might have to pay $6,000 to some agency, months, shops, shoots, productions, props, renting properties. What are we doing to have this like Frankenstein video that made no sense? And like for me, I'm able to help people like get unstuck with business things, just different perspectives and shifts and the businessification of things and breaking things down to their parts and making profitable, simple profits. And like, there's just superpowers that we all have. So for example, for me, like a real estate thing that you have life reps on is like effortless. I've seen the story 600 times. I know this character. I know these things. Let me just explain a bunch of stuff to you of how it is here.
Yeah.
It's like, that's like effortless value to give it to the time.
Yeah.
But the knowledge is there. So you could give disproportionate value that I couldn't go and hire a real estate consultant person for. And then like, there's a mold situation. I'm like, someone has a mold situation. They could go to doctors, hire hundreds of thousands of dollars of experts, gut homes. And it's like, dude, that could have been a 20-minute conversation. There's a few simple things you could have done. So it's really cool. So I call it like abundance bartering because I can bring, for me, air purifiers are 4 or 5 times cheaper than they are for you.
Right.
I can give that thing effortlessly.
It makes total sense. I love it.
So everybody has, there's the storytellers and there's everybody has their own superpowers. And it's like this cool, like Avengers squad situation because everybody has this thing, everyone has like a thing that they can give at like an amplified thing. Like if you own like a restaurant, you could create like quality food consistently for cheaper than someone else. That's like a superpower you have. The superpower I have is I can deliver thousands of the world's best air purifier anywhere in America in 2 days and support it. So like I have this thing. So if there's a wildfire, this is how I can help. So everybody kind of has their own knowledge. And now you even have a team here who can understand things, get money together, solve certain problems. So everybody has like their own skill set. Then there's capital, and then there's the human resources that amplifies their unique ability. And when you give generously, the coolest thing is usually when you're generously giving, it's disproportionately higher value for the receiver because you're giving the thing that's abundant to you.
Love that.
Whether it's money because you have more in the bank than them. Sometimes it's the powder that what we need to get the thing going. You're like, oh, 10 grand, I got that. That doesn't hurt. Other times maybe it's help or advice or information. So it's really cool when you realize that the giving thing, you're giving the thing that you have the most of. So it can hurt a little, but this is the other side of the coin. So there's the hurt, philanthropy, giving, and I fully am on board with that camp. But then there's this other side of giving that actually doesn't hurt at all. And because it doesn't hurt at all, you can do so much of it.
It's free. It's like, well, it's not a free because you only but it's
like solar power, man.
It's you got a lot of it. Hey, I want to ask you a question. We're going to kind of round up here, but there was two things. I didn't what'd you call that? Abundance superpower? What name did you give
I called it abundance bartering.
Abundance bartering. I'm gonna have to remember that. I really like that.
Well, the good thing this is recorded.
Yeah,
that could be a clip and you can tag me in it.
I love it. I think it's really, really abundance bartering is really good. We didn't finish the thought. I wanted to finish the circle.
Yeah.
You said 6 months ago I would have been different than it was today, but you didn't tell me why.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing us back.
Yeah.
So part one, I'm able to just I entered the season of sales, season of growth, season of confidence of getting the word out, and it's really showing in Jaspr's growth. So
you said your sales growth is exponential.
7x this year.
7x.
And by the end of that's so far, after Black Friday, that could be 9 to 10x last year.
And the secret is word of mouth. What was
all word of mouth, but it's we have the best product, and I'm confident in it. So it used to be $2,000, then $13.99, then $9.99. I had to make, dude, at $13.99, I realized I wouldn't buy 5 for my own house. I'd buy the uglier one so I had to get the price to the point where I would buy a bunch of them. If I wouldn't buy what I'm selling, I'm kind of full of shit.
I love it.
And it was really simple. Don't sell what you wouldn't buy.
That's a huge breakdown. And that's going to be really nerve-wracking, though. I mean, to cut down essentially 50% of a price is a big thing.
Yeah, I suppose so. It felt big until when I did it. It actually felt, dude, when Rachel was nursing, her nurse friends would come over. They'd be like, wow, Jaspr, look at that. The air's so fresh. When we're cooking, it goes red. How much is it? I'm like, just take one. I could not tell them it was $2,000. I couldn't even say it. I was embarrassed about the price. There was no reason for it. So I'm like,
can I tell you one thing also, which is super cool about what you're saying, is if you were packaging your company to sell, which most people do, they dream of an exit one day, you wouldn't have done that because you know that one day, if you know you're going to have to sell to some guy and it's all going to be a multiple of your profit, then all of a sudden you're really no longer is it that gut like that nurse can't afford it. It's like some guy in a suit that I'm going to talk to from either New York or Sand Hill Road. I got to get this thing powder puffed up.
And that's probably the first thought. But then I was like, wait, at a cheaper price, how many more subscribers do I have? The real value is the ARR.
Right. But think of how brilliant that is. But you've given yourself freedom to breathe because if you're thinking long term,
yeah,
and it's not about trying to package and put makeup on this girl for sale, then it gives you a lot more bandwidth to make those kind of decisions.
Yeah,
and you got more room. You're playing the long game, not the short game.
And the other part for my dad just had bad pneumonia. He's just recovering. He had blood disorder, blood disease, CLL, and that last L stands for leukemia. It's like a slow one, but it's still leukemia. And it took that, and then him reading the book Die With Zero, dude, he was hyperventilating going up the stairs. He couldn't walk to the kitchen, like no breathing, like a 1 week fast. And it took this amount of pain to realize, holy fuck, I'm 67 this year. Why am I spending 50 hours a week in a little office with no windows? He has a large net worth. What are we doing here? So it took this pain to realize, what do I have, 12, 13, maybe however many years left. So in that book, Die With Zero, they talk about the go-go years, the slow-go years, and the no-go years. It's really cool. You're familiar with this at all?
I know. Tell me more.
So the go-go years is like, if you do your life awesomely, there should be a period of time where you can theoretically retire, or at least retire from your day job and travel, but travel fun. You can still ski and hike, do all that. You can adventure travel. You can do that right through your 60s, maybe even early 70s. You can do everything you could have done when you were 50, pretty much 40, 30. You can keep doing it and you can afford to, and your kids are out of the house and they're doing their thing now. This is the go-go years. Whoa, what an incredible decade you could have. Then you got the slow-go years where it's think river cruises and hikes,
right?
But not snowboarding,
right?
Maybe some walking tours, but a little more than that. But you could still adventure and fly on planes and stay in hotels and road trip and camp. You could do good stuff, but maybe you're not, snowboarding.
You're not paragliding, snowboard. You're not doing the extreme sports.
Yeah, the impact stuff.
Right.
And then you got the no-go years. where it's like, yo, you're not leaving town. Your golfing game is at the tail end. You can still visit family. You can still host your butt dinner, but you're no longer mobile. So the idea is don't fuck up the chapter of the go-go and the slow go. So my dad's like, shit, I could have started my go-go's 5 years ago. Um, there's no reason for me to like, let's go now. Let's do this thing. So the reason I said I'm a much better guest now in terms of investing with purpose is watching and I bet you my dad's net worth is about to skyrocket because businessman Mark is going to die and investor Mark will emerge. He
Mm,
has way too much net worth to be running a small accounting practice.
yeah.
He should be investing deeply. He's incredibly skilled. So yeah, it's been very fascinating to get to the point now where now some of the dividends are actually materializing on my balance sheet, on my income statement, that the results are coming and they're compounding very beautifully. And then watching that change in my pops. So it's very beautiful to see that sort of shift now. So yeah, this is a really exciting chapter in season where I'm getting my parents just got their visas to the States this week. So I'm bringing down the cavalry. I'm
Nice.
bringing down, I'm bringing people down. It's like, I discovered this country, man, and even more this city, Austin, and this state. It's an amazing place.
It's an amazing place. When
Wow.
people are all freaked out about America, I'm like, are you crazy? This is paradise.
Yeah. If you ask me to design heaven on earth one step at a time, and it's first, it's like, would you want there to be trees or no trees? I'd be like, trees. Would you want water? No water, water. Would you want nobody there but yourself? Would you want people? I'd want people. Would you want areas to travel or just be in one area? Areas to travel. Would you want where every day is utopia? Or would you want some volatility and chaos to keep it interesting? So you ask me one at a time, choices. Would I rather this or this? And very quickly, this kind of is heaven on earth.
I think so too. But also it's really helpful when you're in a body that's not doesn't have pain in it, and in a mental health when you wake up
Investing.
happy, as you said. So
Oh yeah, I told you when we were in the car today. I said, dude, I wasn't investing in my health, personal trainers, filtered water. I had the air down. I wasn't eating all organic. I didn't increase the quality of my skincare products, my wife's, the soaps, the cleaning, the chemicals we brought into our home environment, our water filtration system, personal training. I started spending 2K a month last year. You know, when you talked about giving where it hurts, how about investing in your health where it hurts? That's
gosh, I love
giving
that.
too. Spend so much on your personal trainer and your organic food that it hurts. Before you're giving to others, give to yourself.
Mm,
Are you even doing that? Because all of a sudden, I cleaned up my diet, I cleaned up my food, I got this CGM on my arm. I started working with the best personal trainers, working on my spine. You can't live without a spine and a brain. You know, that's all you really are.
yeah.
So I'm like, let me start investing $1,000 a month in my spine and $1,000 a month in my neck. So my trainer's all about mobility and posture and feeling comfortable in your body. And I'm like, so I created a personal balance sheet. And every time I pay for the trainer or good food, we don't track it as an expense. We track it as a balance sheet item. So I want to invest $1 million in my health this decade. Organic food, filtered water, filtered air, and my body. This is a balance sheet item. I'm building net worth. Just like your company would have assets, your body has assets. If you're viewing it like an expense, then you're viewing yourself as an expending, aging, atrophying, depreciating asset. If you're building to your balance sheet, all of a sudden, once I saw it that way, I'm like, whoa, if your health can compound positively. And when that happens and you're cognitively on your point and you're sleeping good, your decisions get better. And when your decisions get better, you are going to make a shitload more money. So yeah, investing on purpose before we're giving to anything. If you are debating 10 grand for charity, but you're not even dealing with your health, go nuts on your health budget. So I started to invest in my health so much that it really hurt. That for me was the give to it hurts to my body. So then we can create more. So that was a big one, man.
I think that's just awesome. Hey, last question. First, I'm loving our conversation.
Kind of like when we're not on camera, which is the best part.
It is, the thing that actually one of the passions for this podcast for me, quite frankly, are these conversations. I get to meet
You have an
great
excellent
humans.
setup too, man, because I don't see any camera in my purview right now.
Yeah.
The setup, I'm not really seeing and feeling camera. Honestly, I'm seeing reflections of forest and tree and sky.
Your favorite thing, trees and kids. But even no kids, is trees.
Yeah, but they're out there. They're out there. So yeah, the environment was very conducive to.
Thank you. I'm so enjoying it. And so just on like the last piece here,
Yeah.
we didn't talk too much about Jasper or air quality. I know this, we can, if you want to listen more and hear all about the details, go to Ben Greenfield. We can find you. What is the best way, I guess, I'm gonna, two questions. One's the best way to find more about you, Jasper, and air quality if somebody wants to dig in deeper?
Google.
Google?
The algorithm will know where to take you.
Okay.
Mike Feldstein Air, Mike Feldstein Jasper.
Feldstein.
Yeah, you have a smart audience. They
Yeah.
have Spotify. They got Google. Go down the rabbit hole. But yeah, I like most podcasts I'm on are not talking about business and health and investing. And this is my true passion.
Yeah, no, so I'm so glad we went this direction. There's
Air
lots
is
out
cool,
there.
but yo, I've talked about air a whole bunch, and I'll keep talking it a bunch more.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to hear about environments or construction or mold or any of that stuff, then any other podcast I've ever been on, we'll talk
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, absolutely. If someone is going through mold illness or things, what would be do you have any resources that you like as far as like doctors to see? Or you even mentioned in the car to me today about cheap, inexpensive mold tests. You said, I think it's your next appointment, actually.
Yo,
The
he's
person
coming
who's
over. Yeah, got mold.
gotmold.com.
So yeah, he has a good testing kit, Jason.
Gotmold.com, right?
Yeah. I was feeling crappy when I was the guy that was charging $1,500 to test people's air. And then most of the time it was, yeah, you have a bit of moldy air. There's no like visible physical black mold, but there's mold outside too. Everyone's tap water is bad and everyone's indoor air is bad. The average person's indoor air is 5 to 10 times worse than outside. There's no point in really
That's a big deal, by the way. 5 to 10 times worse than outside.
There's no point in testing your tap water. You're better off putting that money into a filter.
Yeah.
There's no point in, and I'm the guy who tested the air for 8 years. Unless you just had mold remediation done and you're doing a clearance test, if your house stinks like mold and there's visible physical black mold, yes, get it remediated. Get 3 quotes, 1 or 2, maybe 4. Don't feel bad. Get 1 guy off Craigslist. Get 1 guy off Google. Like look around, because and you might get a quote for $3,000 and one for 60. Don't assume the 60 grand is better. That person might just be better at selling fear. It might be necessary, but really you just have to safely remove the mold. But the reason I don't believe in testing a lot of stuff a lot of time is you go and spend $1,500 in air testing and there goes your solution budget. That's why I created Jaspr, because it was a bummer that I took all their money to solve the problem, just confirming what they already knew. Yeah, your air's bad, your water's bad, duh. Whereas you could have just got a great water filtration system, ordered spring water, and put 2 high quality air purifiers in your house. So like, I think it's table stakes. Either move to Costa Rica or Vancouver Island or the Amazon in the rainforest. But if you live in an urban environment or even a rural place near farms and glyphosate, pollution, mold, allergens, your air is not great. Your water is not great. Having good air and good water is the laziest way to be healthy. If you want to talk about compounding, your health compounds, your relationships compound, not just your financial investments. And, it's hard to go to the gym every day. And the most shitty food for your health tastes the best. What an annoying thing.
It is annoying, but it's
Filtered
true.
water and clean air feels the best. It's very rare that the healthy option is also the nicest. It takes money. You buy the water filter, you buy the air filter, you just pay money and you're healthier. It's passive. It's the laziest way to be healthy.
I remember though, I think people are being kind of duped in thinking that plastic water bottles, they're getting some kind of, they're paying $2 and they're drinking, everyone's drinking out of this plastic water. When we all know, Jason Karp was my last guess, that the plastic water is leaching microplastics in your body.
And the average person breathes a credit card worth of microplastics every week.
Wow.
You're breathing in way more than you're drinking because it's in the air and you're breathing
Where's
in
it
2
coming
liters
from?
of water in a day. Well, plastic degrades. It goes into the environment.
Oh,
Everything that's physical goes in the air too.
yeah.
So yeah, we're breathing it.
So it's not just filtered water. And don't trust your plastic water bottles. Use glass water. Get it from the tap, which is always the smartest thing to do.
Reverse osmosis is wonderful for washing your hands and cooking and cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
A whole home filter is kind of the same concept, dechlorination or hard water. But optimizing like that kind of filtered water is not great for drinking though. Like reverse osmosis water is very unhydrating. It's very unsatisfying. I love spring water. Pay for what hurts. Getting that glass jug of spring water, 4 of them delivered every week.
What about a Berkey? Is that not the same?
It's okay, but the concept of having water that was so contaminated that the city needs to chlorinate the shit out of it to then remove all of that. If I could just get my water from the spring,
yeah,
I prefer
I just try to
that.
solve the thing about having a truck, having to ship it and all the material. Like, isn't there any way to get water from the tap and bring it back to a source filtered enough where
It's hard to only filter out the perfect amount of stuff.
Yeah.
So you have to make it worse to make it better. You have to make it to not kill you today. It has to kill you slowly over 20 years.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, so I think spring water is the best way to go.
Okay.
And you know what? We can be environmentally friendly in a lot of ways, but decreasing my water quality is not the way for me.
Last thing I think you said, I want to make sure I got this right, is that for anyone, everyone, an air filter is not just if you have a moldy house. It's for every house, because when you turn on your gas burners, you're creating all kinds of indoor air pollution with your fragrances. Sometimes it depends what you're using, but I think you said if you only could afford two and it was you, you'd put one in your bedroom for sleep, and I think you said you'd put one near the kitchen.
One in the living room area to cover all the cooking in your, like, go where you spend the most time.
Yeah,
And the
yeah,
bedroom is going to cover your sleep. Creating a sleep sanctuary is table stakes for your health.
yeah,
Like, the average person's breathing a million particles at night when they're breathing. So having filtered high performance air all night long while you're sleeping, while your thoughts or your memories are consolidating and you're dreaming and you're healing, wouldn't you want your fuel source to be pure? You're
yeah,
going to put crappy fuel in all night long.
yeah.
So I think the bedroom is just table stakes.
Jaspr, by the way, is Jaspr.
No E.
No E.
.co.
And the reason why it's Jaspr, here's the last trivial thing that you told me in the car, which I thought was super cool. Jaspr was because the air was so pure in Jaspr, Canada, which I've been to, that the Chinese were bottling the air of Jaspr, Canada.
Bottle it and they sell it in cans to China.
So they're shipping air.
And the reason our logo is a tree with a mountain is because we should not need air purifiers. The top of the mountain is creating a world where we don't need air purifiers at all. This is just a band-aid solution because our homes are built poorly and we're polluting too much. If we can live amongst the trees, not like, and harmonize nature a lot more and just fuck up the environment less, the best air is outside. So as long as we can live more harmoniously, have homes with more fresh air intakes, I believe the best world is one where we wouldn't even conceive of buying an air purifier or a water filter because we just are cleaning up the source. And that's why the logo has the tree. It's kind of like the mission of the company is to go out of business eventually.
Love that.
Like die with zero. So that's what's up, man.
Mike, you're the best.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you so much. And let the adventure continue. Thank you so much.
The best is yet to come.
Best is yet to come, baby. Hey, guys, I hope you enjoyed that episode. Mike is incredible. And by the way, just to let you know, I love doing these shows. And for the 99% of you out there, this really is my love and my education of sharing with you both my trials, my education, and ultimately I want to bring true wealth to you. Wealth beyond money. Let's get you making the right amount of money you want to make, but let's make sure that you really get to feel wealthy along the way. And for the 1% of you that actually are looking for real estate investments, it's what we do. And we use all the principles from the show of conscious capitalism, impact, purpose, and great market returns. And we implement that in our show. And we've been doing this for 20 years. So if you want to learn more about what we're up to at Thrive FP, check us out, www.thrivefp.com. See you soon.